Hey guys, tonight we're gliding into the silent, feather-light world of a creature you think you know, the barn owl. You probably picture them as wise, majestic hunters, soaring gracefully through the darkness with those ghostly, heart-shaped faces. But trust me, being a real barn owl is nothing like a magical night flight. It's a fragile, high-stress existence where you're constantly starving, one bad rainstorm from death, and in most cases, it absolutely sucks. So as we settle in, feel free to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy the stories we share here. Let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from, and what time it is in your part of the world. It's always amazing to see who's joining us from all across the globe. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The first thing you notice is the weight, or rather the lack of it. You feel impossibly light, as if you're made of balsa wood and dust, a fragile collection of hollow straws held together by little more than a wish. You weigh less than a can of soup, a child's winter boot. A strong gust of wind feels like a personal threat, a bully that could pick you up and toss you into the next county. There's no heft, no reassuring density to your limbs. You're a delicate, living kite, and it is utterly terrifying. And then the sound hits you. The world stops being something you primarily see and becomes something you hear. Your face, that beautiful heart-shaped dish, isn't for show. It's a pair of satellite dishes, funneling the secret sounds of the world directly into your skull, and your ears, one higher than the other, give you a kind of 3D audio map. You don't just hear a mouse rustling in the grass below. You know its precise location, its depth, its direction. Every rustle, every snap, every whisper of wind through the weeds is a high-definition broadcast delivered straight to your brain. Your own heartbeat thrums, a deep, unnerving drum against the symphony of tiny movements all around you. You can hear a beetle crawling under a leaf 20 yards away. You can hear the faint, frantic pulse of a vole huddled in its tunnel. The world isn't quiet anymore. It's screaming information at you. Meanwhile, your eyes, as magnificent as they are for gathering faint light, are fixed in their sockets. To look at something, you have to turn your entire head in that eerie, silent swivel, and you can't even see the feather right in front of your own beak. It's just a blurry ghost. You're living in a world perceived not by sight, but by sound, a fragile ghost tuned to the frequency of fear. So all that information, it isn't just noise, it's not a chaotic flood you have to sort through. Your brain, in its tiny feather-light skull, is a supercomputer built for one purpose: triangulation. You aren't just hearing things, you're placing them on a mental grid. That rustle of a leaf isn't just over there. Your brain instantly calculates the nanosecond delay between the sound hitting your left ear versus your right, and in that sliver of a moment you have a perfect horizontal fix. But that's just one axis. The real magic, the part that separates you from every other creature of the night, is the vertical, because your ears aren't level. One is positioned slightly higher than your eye line, the other slightly lower. Think of it like this. Your brain is constantly cross-referencing two incoming signals, one from above, one from below. Is the mouse's heartbeat louder in the upper ear or the lower one? The difference, however faint, tells you its exact height, elevation, locked. The world in front of you becomes a coordinate plane of sound. You sit on a branch, turning your head, but you're not looking. You're scanning. You're sweeping your facial satellite dish across the dark, silent field, waiting for a blip of life to appear on your internal radar. And when it comes, a tiny squeak, the snap of a dry blade of grass. It's not a vague guess. It's a target lock, a live sonar ping. You know, with absolute certainty, that 3 feet below you and 2 feet to the left, a creature with a beating heart is moving through the grass, and you need that certainty, because this entire phenomenal system isn't for fun. It exists to solve the brutal, simple math of hunger. And that brutal math of hunger isn't some abstract concept. It's a physical law you are chained to. There's a furnace inside your tiny hollow frame, and it burns white hot all the time. It never banks. It never cools. It is a constant, frantic fire demanding fuel, and you're its frantic stoker. To keep that fire from consuming you, from literally burning through muscle and organ tissue, You need to eat roughly 15% of your own body weight every single night. Imagine that. That's like a human having to eat a 20-pound steak dinner between sunset and sunrise just to wake up without organ failure. This isn't about feeling a bit peckish. This is a deep, gnawing hollowness, a cold ache that starts behind your eyes and spreads through your wings. It's the feeling of your own body preparing to cannibalize itself. You have no fat reserves. Zero. You're a finely tuned athlete with no backup energy tank. That incredible lightness, that feeling of being made of dust and straws, it's a double-edged sword. It lets you float on the air, yes, but it also means you're living paycheck to paycheck, meal to meal, with absolutely nothing in savings. A single unsuccessful night of hunting isn't a disappointment. It's a crisis. 2 nights, and you start to feel your system shutting down. 3, and you might just drop out of the sky. So that target lock you just got, that perfect sonar ping from the vole in the grass, that's not a thrill. It's a desperate, frantic moment of hope. It's the sound of a solution to the screaming, empty void inside you. You have to make this kill, not for sport, not for glory, but because the furnace is demanding its price, and tonight you are already running on fumes. So you don't think, you don't hesitate, you simply let go. You tip forward off the branch, a deliberate fall into the abyss, and spread your wings. But there is no drama. There is no thunderous beat of wings, no powerful whoosh of displaced air. There is nothing. You yourself can barely hear your own flight. You are a falling silence, a hole in the soundscape of the night. You are a ghost. Your wings aren't designed to beat the air into submission like a pigeon's or a crow's. They are designed to persuade it, to part it gently, like a hand moving through smoke. Look closer. The front edge of your primary feathers, the ones doing all the work, isn't a sharp, clean line. It's a fine-toothed comb, a row of tiny hooked barbules that breaks up the flow of air right at the point of impact. It shreds the sound of your passage before it can even be born. But that's only the first step. The entire surface of the feather is also coated in a soft, velvety down, a texture like moss or felt. This isn't for warmth, it's acoustic camouflage. It absorbs the high-frequency hiss that the comb couldn't catch, and the trailing edge of your wing isn't a crisp line either. It's a soft, tattered fringe that allows the air to glide off without making a single, turbulent whisper. You are a masterpiece of stealth engineering, but this gift of silence, this superpower that makes you the perfect assassin, comes at a terrible, terrible price. These feathers aren't armor. They are a ghost's shroud. They are soft, pliable, and utterly useless against the elements. They have no waterproofing whatsoever. They are built to absorb sound, and they absorb water just as effectively. A sudden downpour isn't an inconvenience you can shake off. It's a death sentence. A waterlogged you is a grounded you, too heavy to fly, too soaked to stay warm, unable to hunt. That furnace inside you doesn't care about the weather. It will still demand its payment in calories, and as you sit there, shivering and helpless, a living sponge of cold and misery, you'll realize your greatest weapon is also your most fatal vulnerability. And that shivering helplessness isn't just a response to the cold rain. As the black of the sky begins to soften into a bruised purple, a different kind of dread sets in. Because the night, your world, is ending. The sun is coming. And for you, the sun is not a promise of warmth and life. It is a giant, glaring spotlight, and you are a fugitive who just ran out of shadows. Your magnificent night vision eyes are overwhelmed, bleached into uselessness by the rising light. The world of intricate sounds you navigated with such precision is drowned out by the cheerful, aggressive chatter of the day shift. Birds you can't see, whose calls mean nothing to your hunting brain, are taking over. You have to disappear, now. You retreat to your secret place, a hollow in an old oak, a forgotten corner in a barn's dusty loft, a dark space behind a loose board. You squeeze yourself into the smallest, darkest crevice you can find, and you become a statue. This isn't sleep. This is a state of forced paralysis. Every calorie you burn is a calorie you can't afford to lose, so your body goes cold and still. You try to look like a piece of wood, a trick of the light, a figment of the imagination. You hold yourself so rigid that your muscles ache, your feathers locked in place, trying to vanish into the background. You're not resting. You're hiding from the entire world. And then comes the moment you've been dreading. A single, sharp caw. A blue jay perched on a branch just outside your hiding spot has seen you. It lets out a piercing shriek of alarm, a call that says, "Monster here! Abomination! Creature of the dark!" It's a siren, and every daytime bird within earshot responds. First 2 crows, then a dozen sparrows, then a pair of mockingbirds, all swarming your roost. They don't dare attack you directly, not at first. They just land nearby and scream at you. A chorus of hate, a mob of righteous fury, all directed at your frozen silent form. They dive bomb you, not to strike, but to startle. To make you move, to force you out into the open where you don't belong. You're an intruder in their world, and they are hell-bent on evicting you. Your only defense is to endure it, to be the unmoving stone in a river of noise and rage, praying they lose interest before your nerve breaks. Because if they succeed, if they force you to fly into the blinding sun, you're just a pale, slow-moving target for a hawk who's been waiting for an easy meal. But the mob can't rage forever. As the blinding sun dissolves into the bruised watercolour of sunset, their calls quiet down, their energy fades. One by one, the crows and jays abandon their post, returning to their own nighttime roosts. The harassment ends. You can finally unclench, finally move your head without a tiny feathered posse screaming at you. For a single, fleeting moment, there is peace. But it's a false peace, because the terror of the day is simply being replaced by the frantic pressure of the night. The clock has started. The furnace is roaring. You launch yourself from your prison, a silent slip of a thing into the twilight. But you don't soar. You don't climb into the heavens to survey your kingdom. That's for hawks with their thermal updrafts and their lazy circles. That's a luxury you can't afford. Your hunt is work. It's a low-altitude, grid-pattern search, methodical and exhausting. You fly just 10 feet above the ground, a ghostly shadow quartering the field, back and forth, wings beating in a slow, hypnotic rhythm that is anything but restful. Every beat, every silent glide costs you. You're a machine burning its last drops of fuel just to find more. Your head swivels, a constant scan. Your facial dish is at maximum sensitivity. A rustle. You lock on. The coordinates are clear, 8 feet ahead, just to the left of that thistle. You fold, you drop. A silent, perfect plunge into the grass. Your talons spread wide like grappling hooks. Hit. Nothing. You grasp a clawful of damp earth and empty air. The vole was already gone. You missed. So you take off again. The failed dive cost you precious energy, putting you deeper in the hole. The gnawing emptiness inside you gets a little colder, a little sharper. Back to the grid. Another pass. Another sound, this time a shrew skittering under a blanket of fallen leaves. You adjust for its movement, calculate its path, and drop again. You're a living arrow of silent death. But a sudden gust of wind, a force you're too light to fight, pushes you a few inches to the right. Your talons close on leaves and dirt. Another miss. This is the reality of your hunt. It isn't a glorious pounce and a triumphant flight. It's a grueling commute. It's hours of this. Flying, listening, diving, failing. Flying, listening, diving, failing. For every single, life-sustaining catch, there are a dozen demoralizing, energy-sapping misses. And with every empty-handed launch back into the air, you can feel your own body getting just a little bit weaker, the furnace burning just a little bit closer to cold, dead ash. You're not a master of the night. You're a desperate gambler betting your life on one lucky spin after another. But then you hear it. Not a rustle this time. Something deeper. The steady, rhythmic drumming of a tiny heart hidden under a thick mat of winter grass. The sonar ping is louder, sharper. You're directly overhead. You don't dive. Not yet. You hang there, suspended in the black air, a living ghost held up by nothing but discipline. This isn't effortless floating. It's an act of supreme control. Your wings beating in a precise, frantic pattern, burning precious calories you don't have just to stay perfectly, unnaturally still. The world shrinks. The wind, the trees, your own aching hunger. It all fades into a low hum. There is only you, the sound map in your head, and the pulsing life sign that marks your target. Then you fold, you commit, you plunge, feet first into a world you cannot see. The grass rushes up to meet you, a wall of green and black that closes over your head. For a half second, you are blind, deafened by the tearing vegetation whipping past your legs. You're no longer a creature of the air. You're burrowing into the earth, guided by nothing but a memory of a sound. Your talons are outstretched, not like grabbing hands, but like a surgeon's instruments, aimed at a single invisible point. The heartbeat stutters. The vole heard you at the last possible instant. It bolts, but your brain is faster. You twist your body in the dark, a micro-adjustment of an inch, predicting its panicked zigzag. You're not aiming for where it was. You're aiming for where it will be. And then, contact. Not a struggle. Not a fight. Just a clean, perfect connection. Your talons, like 4 hypodermic needles, find their mark. The frantic drumming you were locked onto simply stops. It's replaced by a sudden spreading warmth and the limp, life-saving weight in your grasp. You hang there for a second, buried to your wings in the cold grass, the silence now complete. The gamble paid off. The furnace has its fuel. For tonight at least you will not starve. You don't celebrate. You don't pause to admire your work. You push off from the damp earth, the vole clutched tight in your talons, and its weight is a shocking, beautiful burden. You fly to the nearest safe perch, a low branch shadowed from the moon, your mind now consumed by a single primal imperative. Get it inside you. Fast. There is no chewing, no tearing, no ceremony. You're not a hawk, meticulously plucking feathers and ripping flesh. Wasting energy like that is a luxury for the well-fed. You're a starving machine in need of raw fuel. You lift the vole to your beak, and it's too close to even see clearly. You feel it with the whisker-like feathers on your face, maneuvering it until its head is pointing down your throat. Then you just swallow. The sensation is bizarre and vaguely horrifying. You feel the scratch of its fur, the blunt press of its skull, the awkward bend of its limbs as it slides, whole, down your gullet. Your neck contorts, your eyes bulge. For a moment it feels like you've made a terrible mistake. But then it's down, a warm, heavy lump settling in your stomach, and the relief is immediate and profound. The cold, gnawing ache of the furnace inside you is finally being answered. Hours later, long after your stomach's powerful acids have dissolved every last bit of muscle, organ, and fat, a different, less urgent reflex begins. It's not nausea. It's a quiet, methodical sorting. Your gizzard, a muscular second stomach, has been working this whole time, separating the useful from the useless. It has carefully compressed all the indigestible parts, the fur, the bones, the tiny teeth and claws, into a single compact oval. You feel a tickle in your throat. You stretch your neck, give a slight controlled cough, and a smooth felt-like pellet drops silently onto the branch beside you. It's a perfect dry package of what remains, a tiny self-contained tomb. It's the final clean act of a brutally efficient process. No waste, no mess, just a furnace that is, for a few precious hours, finally quiet. That quiet furnace is the closest you will ever come to contentment. But it's a fragile truce, not a victory. And just as the warmth spreads through your hollow bones, you feel something else. A single, cold drop that doesn't bead up and roll off. It lands on your shoulder and simply vanishes. It sinks into that soft, velvety plumage like a stone into a pond, and you feel a pinprick of cold directly against your skin. Then another, and another. The sky opens up. This isn't a gentle mist. It's a heavy, driving rain, and for you, it's not water. It's poison. You try to take flight to find shelter, but your wings are already changing. That masterpiece of silent engineering, the soft-combed feathers built to absorb sound, is now absorbing water with terrifying efficiency. They become a sodden, heavy flannel blanket. You can feel the weight piling on second by second, turning your light, aerodynamic frame into a leaden anchor. Your flight is a clumsy, panicked stagger through the air. You can hear yourself now, a sloppy, wet, flapping sound. The silence is gone. The lift is gone. You manage to make it to the base of a tree, crashing more than landing, and there you stay. Grounded. Your greatest weapon has betrayed you, and now it's actively trying to kill you. The cold is absolute. The water has soaked past the feathers, past the down, and is plastered against your skin. The shivering starts, a violent, uncontrollable spasm that rocks your whole body. This isn't your body trying to warm up. This is your furnace, that frantic internal fire, burning through the calories from the vole you just ate in a desperate, futile war against the cold. The precious fuel you needed for tomorrow's hunt is being vaporized in minutes, just to keep your core temperature from plummeting. But it's a losing battle. The rain keeps coming and you keep getting colder. The violent shivering subsides into a dull, exhausted tremor. A strange numbness begins to creep into your feet and wings. The world of sound, once a high-definition map, fades to a dull, distant roar. You huddle there, a small, wet lump of misery as your furnace sputters, flickers, and finally goes out. But let's say you get lucky. Let's say that rainstorm from last time never came. Let's say you survive the autumn, a season of plenty where the voles are fat and the hunting is almost easy. You master the silent dive. You learn the rhythms of the field. You almost begin to feel competent. But that feeling is a lie, a cruel joke played by the calendar, because a new enemy has arrived, silent and white, and it has simply erased the world you knew. The cold isn't like the damp chill of rain. This is a dry, sharp, invasive cold. It feels like tiny glass needles working their way between your feathers, past your skin, and deep into your hollow bones. The furnace inside you, that familiar, demanding fire, kicks into a frantic, roaring overdrive. It's not just about hunger anymore. It's a full-time job just to keep from freezing solid where you sit. The gnawing ache for food becomes a screaming, system-wide alarm. You need more fuel than ever at the exact moment the world is trying to starve you. You launch into the night, but your hunting grounds are gone. The familiar tapestry of grass, dirt, and thistle has been replaced by a smooth, uniform, and utterly alien blanket of white. There are no visual cues, no tracks, no trails, and worse, everything is muffled. The landscape has become a single, vast sound-dampening panel. You can't trust your eyes. You can only trust your ears. You fly your grid pattern lower now, slower, more desperate. Your entire being is one giant, sensitive microphone, straining to catch a sound that isn't there. The rustle of a paw, a muffled squeak, the ghost of a heartbeat, coming from beneath the snow. It's like trying to hear a secret whispered from another room through a thick wall. Then you get it. A faint, almost imaginary scratching noise, a foot beneath the surface. Your brain does the math, but your sonar map is glitching. This is a ghost of a signal. You have to take a leap of faith. You hover, the frantic beat of your wings a desperate prayer against the cold, and you plunge, not into soft grass, but into a blinding, suffocating cloud of cold powder. For a terrifying second you are buried, fighting against something with no substance. Your talons close on the nothing, just collapsing crystals of frozen water. You struggle back into the air, your feathers now dusted with frost that sucks even more heat from your body. The miss wasn't just a lost meal. It was a catastrophic waste of energy you don't have. The furnace sputters. The cold bites deeper. This is winter. It's your hunting ground turned into a featureless tomb, and your only hope of a meal is buried inside it. You're no longer a hunter. You're an excavator, desperately digging for a single, life-saving calorie, while the cold calmly, patiently waits for you to fail. And in that moment of desperate, freezing failure as you struggle back into the air with empty talons and a dusting of mocking frost, a new feeling washes over you. It's a feeling that completely overrides the cold and the hunger. You are being watched. You are being aimed at. You, the master of the sonar map, have just become a bright, flashing blip on someone else's radar. Then you hear it. It's not a sound you can triangulate. It's a sound that fills the entire world, a deep resonant hoot that vibrates in the hollows of your bones. Hoo, 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 hoo. It isn't a question. It is a statement of ownership. This field, this snow, this night, it all belongs to something else, and you are trespassing. You don't even need to see it to know. This is your ghost, your shadow, the apex predator you've been dreading your entire short life, the great horned owl, a feathered bruiser, a flying tank twice your weight, with talons that can crush bone with the casual indifference of a closing fist. Your silent flight is a tool for ambushing mice. Its silent flight is for ambushing you. Panic, cold and pure, floods your system. You abandon the hunt and make a desperate dash for the tree line, but the air behind you seems to warp, to thicken. You can feel the pressure change as two enormous wings, a 5-foot span of raw power, begin to beat the night into submission. This isn't a chase, it's a foregone conclusion. The hunter has become the hunted, and the terror is paralyzing. You are a vole. You are a shrew. To this behemoth you are just a slightly larger, slightly more frantic meal, and all your sophisticated magical adaptations mean nothing at all. You don't have time for terror. You just fly. Not the silent, methodical poetry of the hunt. This is a ragged, desperate scramble for your life. You pump your wings with a frantic energy you didn't know you had, diving low, weaving through the skeletal fingers of the winter tree line. You just need to reach cover, any cover, a thicket, a barn, anything that can break the line of sight of the monster behind you. The deep hooting stops, but you don't trust the silence. You push harder. In your panic, you misjudge. A low-hanging branch, or maybe a forgotten strand of fence wire, appears out of the darkness too late. You try to swerve, but you're moving too fast. There isn't a loud crash, just a dull, sickening thwack and a jolt of white-hot electric pain that shoots from the tip of your wing straight into your chest. The wing gives way. It just stops working. Your perfect silent aerodynamics are gone. One wing is beating frantically, while the other drags behind you like a broken oar. You start to spin, a lopsided, uncontrolled spiral toward the ground. The world becomes a blur of snow and black bark. You can't correct. You can't glide. You can only fall. You hit the ground, not with a soft landing, but with a clumsy tumbling thud, a mess of tangled feathers and shattered dignity. Lying in the snow, a wave of nausea washes over you. The great horned owl is gone, likely scared off by the commotion, or simply uninterested in damaged goods. You've survived the attack. But as you try to stand and feel the sharp, grinding protest from your shoulder, you understand a far more horrible truth. You won't survive the survival. That impossibly light body, those bones as hollow as drinking straws, are engineered for one thing: flight. They have no tolerance for error. They are a marvel of lightweight design, but they are unforgivingly brittle. A fracture, a dislocation, a tear in the delicate membrane of your wing. It isn't an injury to recover from. It's a permanent condemnation. You can never fly again. And if you can't fly, you can't hunt. If you can't hunt, the furnace goes out. The broken wing won't kill you. The slow, patient, relentless gnaw of starvation will. You got away, but all you did was exchange a quick death in the talons of a predator for a slow one, alone in the unforgiving cold. The fire of the impact cools to a deep, throbbing ache that pulses in time with your frantic heart. You are on the ground, you are alive, but you need to see. You need to know what's out there in the dark, what might be drawn to the sound of your fall. You try to scan the snowy clearing, but your eyes don't move. They never do. They are fixed in your skull, two enormous forward-facing telescopes bolted into place. There's no quick darting glance to the side. To look left, you have to turn your entire head left. That 270-degree swivel that seems so eerie to others is for you a slow, cumbersome, and now agonizingly painful pan across a terrifyingly static landscape. Every degree of rotation sends a sharp protest from your shattered wing. But the real horror sinks in when you try to look down, to see the wing, to inspect the source of the pain. It's not there, not really. It's a smudge, a pale, out-of-focus shape against a sea of equally blurry white. You are profoundly, hopelessly farsighted. You can make out the perfect, sharp silhouette of a pine tree 100 yards away, each needle etched against the stars, but you cannot see your own foot. You cannot see the feather an inch from your face. It's why you've always had to feel for your food with your beak and facial bristles, maneuvering the vole you can't truly see. But now, this limitation is a special kind of hell. You can feel the sharp end of a broken bone grinding under your feathers. You can feel the cold crystals of snow melting against your skin. But when you look, all you see is a meaningless soft-focus blur. You're trapped in a body whose most immediate catastrophic damage is invisible to you. Your world-class vision, designed for the hunt from above, is utterly blind to the tragedy right here on the ground. You lie there in the snow, a broken thing, and a new kind of cold starts to settle in your gut. It's a cold that has nothing to do with the winter air. It's the chilling intellectual understanding of what this place, your territory, actually is. You'd thought of it as yours, a kingdom of fields and fence posts defined by the reach of your wings. But it was never a home, it was a restaurant, a hunting ground you held not by deed, but by a constant, exhausting show of force. Every silent patrol you flew, every vole you snatched, every screech you shrieked into the darkness was you paying rent. It was a nightly declaration to every other starving owl in the area. This pantry is occupied. Keep moving. And now you are silent, you are grounded, you have defaulted on your lease. Then you hear it. A piercing, raspy shriek from the far end of the field. It's not the deep hoot of a horned owl, it's one of your own kind. It's a question, a test. An owl, just as desperate and hungry as you are, probing the edges of your domain, looking for weakness. On any other night you would have answered instantly, a screech for a screech, a challenging flight to meet the intruder and see them off. It's a brutal, energy-sapping job, but it's critical. Your food supply depends on it. Tonight, you can only lie there, a broken statue in the snow. You stay silent, and your silence is an answer. It's a vacancy sign, blinking in the darkness. Another screech, this time closer. The intruder is getting bolder. It's claiming the air you can no longer fly in, the field you can no longer hunt. This isn't malice. It's not cruelty. It's just the brutal, simple math of survival, the same math that has driven you every single night. An undefended territory is a wasted resource, and nature wastes nothing. Lying there, with your wing on fire and the world a painful blur, you're being erased. Another desperate ghost is taking your place, inheriting your hunting grounds while you're still breathing on them. You haven't just lost a fight. You've lost your right to exist here, and that feels colder than any snow ever could. But let's say that Broken Wing never happened. Let's say you didn't end up a tragic freezing statue in the snow. Let's say you survived the winter, a long, brutal marathon of desperate snow-plunging hunts and sheer stubborn luck. You've mastered the brutal math. You've paid the nightly price in calories. You've won. And what is your reward for surviving? A new, even more terrifying instinct that begins to scream louder than your own hunger. You find a mate. A bond is forged not in warmth or affection, but in shared, piercing shrieks that carve up the night and declare your partnership. You find a secure hollow. She lays a clutch of perfect white eggs, and for a moment you might feel a flicker of what a lesser animal would call success. That feeling dies the first night she stays on the nest, because she is now a prisoner of biology, and you are a slave to it. The furnace inside you is still roaring, but now there's a second one, just as demanding, calling to you from the dark of the roost. Your nightly quota just doubled. You're no longer hunting to quiet the ache in your own gut. You are hunting for two. And then they hatch. One by one, over days, the eggs crack open to reveal not fluffy, charming chicks, but strange, reptilian little things covered in white down. They are little more than beaks attached to stomachs, and their only sound is a constant, rasping hiss for more food. A nest full of tiny, hissing, bottomless pits. Your furnace just multiplied. A single vole used to be a victory. Now it's an appetizer. You suddenly need to catch 8, 10, maybe a dozen prey items every single night, without fail. You don't eat the first catch, you don't even eat the fourth. Every limp, warm body you snatch from the grass is immediately flown back to the nest and dropped into the chorus of gaping mouths. You are a ghost, a silent delivery drone on a relentless commute. You drop a vole, and before its warmth has even faded, before the hissing has even quieted, you are gone again, back out into the dark, your own stomach now a cold, distant echo. You won the game of survival, and the prize is that everyone else gets to eat before you. You're no longer just stoking your own fire. You're now the sole provider for an entire dynasty of roaring, insatiable furnaces, and you can already feel yourself burning out. You're a ghost fading in the twilight, a living echo. You burn away, a candle of feathers and hollow bones melting to feed the hissing, hungry flames in the nest. One night, you're simply too exhausted. You miss a dive. The next, a gust of wind you're too weak to fight pushes you off course. The furnace that has defined your every waking moment sputters, neglected, as you pour every last calorie into the mouths of your young. You become what you always feared, a failed hunter, running on fumes that are no longer there. And as you sit on a branch, feeling the world go cold, you understand. Your life was never truly your own. It was a debt owed to your impossible biology, a loan taken out against your satellite dish face, your silent wings, your unforgiving metabolism. And this is how you pay it back. Meal by tiny, shuddering meal, delivered to a future you will not be a part of. The terrifying symphony of rustles and heartbeats you once navigated with such precision has been replaced by a singular, desperate chorus from the nest, and you serve it until you can't. So the next time you see that heart-shaped face staring from the shadows of a barn, don't think of wisdom. Think of the brutal, relentless math it's solving. Don't see a graceful predator. See a fragile ghost on a tightrope, caught between starvation and the elements, whose every superpower is also a fatal flaw. Your fragile frame, your lack of weight, your sound-absorbing feathers that turn to concrete in the rain. You weren't an apex hunter. You were a masterpiece of desperate engineering, built for one perfect, impossible task. You're gone now. A scattering of soft feathers on the forest floor, or perhaps just a final quiet fall from a branch. But in the dark of the barn a new sound continues, a rasping hiss that will, with luck, grow into a piercing shriek. The furnace you stoked hasn't gone out, it has just been transferred. You were silent so they could be heard, you starved so they could hunt. You vanished, a ghost into the night, but you left your own echo behind, ready to begin the terrifying, beautiful and impossible journey all over again.